What's going on, everybody out there all across the land? Of course, you know you are tuned into the number one station on the net for the number one show on the net, period. Of course, that's the Keith Harris Show. I'm your host, Keith Harris. Right now, we are back, as promised to you from before, a very extraordinary gentleman in the building today. He is a wonderful actor and producer and so many other things that he's known for doing too, that we'll get into as the show progresses. Without any further ado, I'd like to give a drum roll and a red carpet entrance from none other than David Rountree. What's going on with you, Dave?
Hey, what's up, man? I love the drum roll.
Hey,
don't get a drum roll too often, man, so I'll take it. That's great.
I know, right? Look, I'm going to be real on point once I get me some real drums to do it with. I mean, I do it on my table.
Hey, you know what? A drum roll is a drum roll. Take it where we did it,
right? No doubt, man. No doubt. So, look, man, let me start off by asking, how's your day been so far? You out there on the West Coast right now? Or you on the East Coast right now?
No, I'm not in Los Angeles. I live out here, and originally from the East Coast, but I'm out in L.A., and I'm enjoying somewhat of a nice day today. It's a little on the chilly side and a little wind blowing, so it kind of reminds me of, being back on the East Coast a little bit. So not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. And look, you're originally from North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Raleigh. I've been in Los Angeles for about 15 years though, but not too far. I've been down to Wilmington many times, and my brother used to go down there and surf all the time. So many trips down there to the beach.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Big shouts out to Ron.
I never got into surfing, man. I'm scared of surfing. I can't do it too well, but
I can't do it either. I can't do it. Kudos to all those who can jump out there on that surfboard like that in that water. I tell you.
I know.
That's something.
Absolutely.
That's
not for me.
Me neither, my man. So look, let everybody know first of all, or I'm gonna ask you the question: what was your first foot in to the entertainment field or to the film industry? Whether that was acting at first or producing, what was the first door open for you?
I guess the first door opened up was through the acting world, and I never did acting growing up. I was never in plays in high school or anything like that. When I got to college, my first year, there was a girl that ran the theater department that I had a nice thing for, and she was done theater, I did theater. Didn't know what to expect. I knew she was involved, so I wanted to be a part of it, and that's kind of how I got started. And you follow your heart sometimes. You don't know where it's going to take you, but it was a fun experience. I enjoyed getting up on stage and kind of doing stuff. I was an athlete, so I never minded kind of getting up there on the center stage and performing and doing what I do. And
right.
After college, ended up graduating from North Carolina State, and I came back to kind of coach a little bit. And I was coaching, and one of the guys I was coaching, his girlfriend worked at an acting school, and she asked if I ever had any interest in doing it. So I said, let's do it. I signed up, and after a little bit, I ended up on a local TV series out there in North Carolina, and ran that for about a season. I was on there for 11 episodes, and met a manager out of Los Angeles who dealt with athletes, who kind of got athletes going, and I made the move to LA and started working out here. And from the acting world, it just kind of took off, and I ended up kind of finding more of a love behind the camera now, and got into directing and producing, and that's kind of where I'm living right now. So
right.
Having fun, but it started a long time ago, man. Started professionally about 15 years ago as an actor.
Oh man, so that and I guess in that situation, once it takes off like that, once you get into acting, because as well as the experience and how serious you had to take it, it became fun to you too. Also, I suppose, just even going into character.
Yeah, it was a blast. It's so much fun. I mean, getting to do something like that and getting paid to do it was something that I never really dreamed was even a possibility. I mean, growing up in North Carolina, you don't really believe California exists. You don't believe Hollywood is a real place. You hear about it, you know it's out there, but it doesn't seem like anything that's reachable. And to actually be living out here and doing this, it is a dream come true. It is an experience that I never thought I would have. And to be able to do it is, it's still kind of mind blowing that I'm able to, do this and make a living doing what I do.
Nah, you know what? You're absolutely right. It's actually a big step to do it that way, and you know, coming from such a direction. Because look, even me now, you know, Raleigh, as we talk about, Raleigh is obviously, as you know, there's a lot more going on. You know, for me, I pretty much run my show from a smaller town, and so it's just amazing, even for myself, that being where I'm at, to even still be connected, and like I feel like I'm living inside the movie world every day, and I'm right here.
Right.
In small North Carolina, right? So, you know, so
well, and I mean, actually, the way the business is working these days, you know, you can do a lot more things remote and make things happen. The last film we did, our visual effects artist is in England. I never met the guy. I've known him for 4 years, and I've done 2 feature films where he did my effect. And all the communication was just through email and sending Dropbox files back and forth and talking that way. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know what he sounded like. I had no idea until he just came out to LA for our last movie just last week. And I finally got the movie done. But it's so much easier to do things remote these days, you know, and make things happen. So having a radio show or having you know like webisodes and podcasts and all these things that are accessible now, it bridges that gap. It makes everything you know, more available to everybody across the planet, which is great.
Absolutely. Now, you know, kind of talking about your first role. Eventually, we'll get into you know, your producing and things like that. But what was it like for you? Because you know, when you went for that first role. Because let me ask you, did you audition for your first role, or was it kind of like a connection thing where you got the part, you knew what you were doing? What was it like for you the first time being on camera?
Well, no, I was definitely auditioning. When I came out here, I was repped by a manager who dealt with athletes. In college, I played 3 sports, so having an athletic background really helped me because it helped me get into the athletic side of the business. So, first thing he did, he took me to a commercial agency that repped athletes, and it was great because everything I was going out for was athletic based. So my very first commercial audition was for a Japanese beer, but I had to play basketball.
Oh, okay.
It was just out there playing ball. So, you know, I go to the audition and not knowing any better. I'm just out there trying to do what I can, and ended up getting the job. You know, by just being an athlete and playing ball.
So yeah, okay, I get it. So you was just kind of doing it was natural for you.
I was doing my thing in that regard. You know, I was taking acting classes, and you know, over the course of time, I understood what it became. You know, took to become an actor. But when I first got out here, I had no idea. And the very first commercial I went on was that beer commercial, and I booked the job. So I'm thinking, like, okay, this isn't too hard. I got off the boat, and I got my first job. So I did a second one. The second thing I did was a football commercial for Bud Light with Cedric Entertainer. So I was thrilled. I was like, I know this guy. I work with somebody. So yeah, it was a Super Bowl spot for back in maybe 2000 or something like that. You know, I was so excited. So I did my first 2, and I booked both of them, and you know, of course, I'm thinking this is easy. You know, I can just walk in the door and book everything. I didn't get another job for about a year and a half, and probably 200 or 300 more auditions. You know, and you get that slump, and the reality sets in that no, this isn't easy. This was, you know, this is definitely a game of numbers, and you got to keep putting it out there, and you hope for the best. And you know, but getting those early experiences really helped me out. At least gave me a taste of what was out there, and it gave me the drive to try to pursue this and try to make something happen out of it. You know.
Right. And speaking about baseball, as a matter of fact, 108 stitches. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and you know, and I watched that trailer. First of all, I watched that trailer, and for everybody out there listening, it's comedic. Wait, also, 1 second. For everybody out there listening too, in case you want to call in and join the conversation, or you want to call in and give shout outs to David or ask any questions, the area code and phone number to dial is 252-526-1318. I'll say it again for you. 252-526-1318. So don't be afraid. Call in. Give us a holler. But okay, yeah. So 108 stitches. Like I was saying, I watched that trailer. Everybody out there needs to check it out. It's hilarious, first and foremost. Okay, but and this is a movie about baseball too as well. Like let the people know the plot and kind of a bit about the role you played in that.
Yeah, no problem. So 108 Stitches is a kind of a romantic baseball comedy. I directed the film, and we opened up in theaters this past September. So we were in 15 major cities across the country. We had a nice release. There's a lot of really great actors in it. Golden Globe winner Bruce Davison plays the head coach. Larry Thomas, who's the Soup Not Me from Steinfeld, the other assistant coach, and the rest of the cast is phenomenal. Last Comic Standing winners, Matt Van and Josh Blue. We've got Alan Maldonado, who's in The Equalizer. He's also in Straight Outta Compton coming up soon.
Wow.
And a lot of just great actors. Aaron Cahill is the former Pink Power Rangers in it. Ryan Carlberg from Van Wilder. And, it's one of those cast members that, you just watch and you recognize everybody in the movie.
Right.
Katie Vernon from Battlestar Galactica, because she plays the dean of the university. So it's a very fun cast. It was a fun movie to put together, especially having a baseball background.
Mm-hmm.
The script and the project was co-produced by a Wesleyan college baseball player, Wesleyan University baseball player named Jake Katowski. So he has a younger generation college baseball outlook. I have an older college, baseball outlook, since I'm a little older than he is.
Right.
And, we kind of put our brains together to produce this. So Jeff Katowski, who owns the Borum Owls, they're a single A minor league team out of Utah. And we put this thing together, and we had a lot of fun with it, and the movie's done pretty well. I think it's everywhere on VOD, online, things like that right now. But, it was a lot of fun to make, and get to go play, not only get to go make a movie and have fun with that, but get to play baseball and make a movie. That's just, it did get a lot better. That was great for me, to have that experience. It was a lot of fun.
It takes you to be back to one of your first loves. Let me ask you, how were you as a baseball player? Like, not just in the film, but, in sports. Were you satisfied with your skill?
I think any athlete always wants to be better, and I think that's one of the tricks, I guess. I did play all the way through college.
Okay.
I still play baseball. I'm in a league out here in Los Angeles right now. I'm kind of we call it the old man's league that's still trying to hold on to the game a little bit. And, a lot of former players out there that are hoping they'll break a hit when they're running down the first base. But,
feeling like they still got it.
And, I feel like the day I'm playing it, I have it, but the next day when I wake up, I don't. The body hurts. But it's a fun league. There are players in the league that are, former baseball players that were really, top level, like Jose Canseco was in the league, and Brett Saberhagen, and some guys like that. So it's still a very competitive league, and it's a lot of fun getting out there. And I took baseball probably as far as I could take it. I was really happy with what I could do, and it started out when I was 5 years old, or almost 5, Little League World Series on television, and my dad looked at me and said, "That was like something you'd want to do?" And I said, "Yeah." Right. And he was referring to baseball. I was referring to being on TV, I think.
Well, you know what?
That's kind of how everything started.
Look, I know they have to be accepting and respecting your decision now, because you've accomplished so much with your decision to make the move to television and film and in motion picture. You're doing your thing now.
I'm trying.
Now going into producing, how did you decide that? When you decided that you wanted to produce, was that the creativity coming out? And I know that has to do with directing too. But was that the side of creativity coming out of you saying, "Listen, I kind of want to be in control a little bit more, or I want to be able to bring my ideas to the table"? Or is it just something like anything? Once you have a love for it, you become interested in every part of it?
I think both of that. You hit it on the head, because once you have a love in something, you want to learn more. You want to expand and figure out every aspect of it, so it makes you more versatile. If I'm good at one thing, but I'm not good at something else, I want to learn how to do that something else, so my overall game gets better. A basketball player, if you can dominate with your right hand, but your left hand's not very good, you can get shut down. But once you develop both sides, it becomes that much more powerful of a player. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. As a creative person, when I was just acting, that's a lot of fun, but it's very limited. Theater, if you're getting on stage, I think that's the actor's medium, because the curtain comes up and you're going start to finish. There's no stop. There's no cut. There's no take two, nothing. But on film, that's a director's medium. That's where the director can come in with the creativity and kind of orchestrate all the pieces together like a giant chess game and put them together. And that's what I started really enjoying.
Right.
It's fun getting up there and acting, but in the day, you go back to the dressing room, take off your wardrobe, put on your normal clothes, and you go home and you're done with it. Mm-hmm. But as a director and as a producer, you oversee everything, especially as a producer, from start to finish. You organize every aspect of leading up to the day of the shoot, whatever. And then when you wrap on the last day, then your second part of your job happens. That's the post-production.
Right.
And you see it all the way to the end. And I like that side of it. I like, having the accessibility, being able to be creative all the way through. And that's what I felt was missing as just an actor. And I love acting. It's a lot of fun, but I've been kind of steering away from that lately. Well, and if the right role comes, I'm not going to turn it down, but I like the full creative process.
And you know what? I was actually getting ready to kind of touch into that a bit because, in a position like yourself where you're producing and you're acting at the same time in some of your films, how do you balance the two? Because, I guess when you're producing or directing, you kind of already know where everything lies. So when it comes to acting, you know what you want to do. But how do you make that transformation from being one guy to the other on the same project?
Well, it is challenging, and I really admire people like Kevin Costner and Ben Affleck, and Ron Howard and these guys who have been in front of the camera and they get behind and they direct, and sometimes they direct themselves and they produce films and they put themselves in it. And to be able to do that on that level is such an impressive feat. I've got so much respect for them. And I think ultimately that would be something that I would aspire to do at that level. Mm-hmm. I'm really, really happy with the way things have gone, but it is hard. It is hard to take off the director and producer cap and all of a sudden get up in front of the camera. So 108 Stitches, I really wasn't in front of the camera. I hopped in there as a catcher in baseball, so there were a couple scenes just to add some authentic realism to it where I got behind the plate and I served as a catcher, but you really never see me. I'm behind the mask, and there was no intention to be in front of the camera really for that one. But I was able to give a level of authenticity because as a viewer, if you notice one thing in a movie that's false, you just start looking for the next one. Right. If you see one bad acting moment, you look for the next one. If you see one bad editing moment, you look for the next one. If you're watching a sports movie and you're watching somebody throw a football as a quarterback, but their form is awful, there's no way you're going to believe them in that role as the star quarterback of the team. Right. Or the guy, playing basketball, and you can tell by his jump shot that he really has no game. You're instantly going to discredit him. You're going to discredit the game, discredit the movie, and it's not going to work. So, in moments like that, I'm happy to step back in front of the camera, and I'm glad I was able to offer a little, realism to the baseball.
Well, yeah, because because that's what I was going to say, right? Sometimes I get this imagining picture of being in that position, could you be on set one day and then I imagine somebody's on set and they're acting and they're also like the director or producer and they're acting and all of a sudden you see something wrong, like you're wearing that actor's hat, but then you see something happening wrong with somebody else, and I just imagine somebody like, no, wait, just like jumping out of character, like, but no, you're not doing, you know what I'm saying, just jumping off the scene, like, no, that's being, and then you're back onto the other side, and being able to maintain that, because when you're doing one thing, somebody else has to be controlling that other job for you, right?
That's true, and I'm happy to have surrounded myself around people that I fully trust in that situation. That if I am in front of the camera and something doesn't go right, then I know they will catch it and they will call it out and they'll let me know.
Okay.
You know what? We didn't quite get that take right because the person playing this position here, when they fielded the ball, they kind of kicked it, but you couldn't see it from where you are, or whatever the situation is. Yeah. And they help talk me through it as well. I like seeing the playback. So if we film a scene, I definitely want to see the playback and make sure everything visually looks okay in camera. And I talk to my audio guy and make sure everything sounds right, because sound is so important. It's so key in a production. Mm-hmm. If your sound is off, an audience today will accept any visual medium for their video or their movie because of things like YouTube and movies like Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity and things like that, where they use cheap video cameras. Uh-huh. And the audience will watch a YouTube video and they'll be like, okay, I accept that. Mm-hmm. They'll accept that as a creative freedom of the filmmaker. But if your audio is bad, the whole project's bad.
Oh, it's
they
over.
Instantly discredit it. Yeah. Right, it's over. So you don't even get a second chance. One bad audio moment and your film is instantly just awful. Yeah. So if your audio is clean all the way through, that's where it's really important. So I really have a lot of trust in my sound team. And if they say something's not right, then we have to do it again. If my sound guy hears an airplane in the background and we have to hold for him, I give them 100% to make that call. Right. And we have to do it because I'm not going to hear what he hears through his headphones and his microphone. So I have trust in people to help get that done.
No, yeah.
And the more projects I do, the more I have been distancing myself from being in front of the camera and being able to be around these people, who can tell me right when it happens, which does make it a lot easier.
Listen, you know what? You are so right on that. Audio is vicious. You know, I know just, you know, doing a radio show, for instance, I have to have someone who can watch my back at all times. Because I could be sitting here, I could be sitting here talking. Listen, Dave, I've had times where I'm sitting here talking and I get halfway through a show and not know that my show was not even on.
Right. And you don't have somebody that's got your back that knows what they're doing and someone that you trust, things like that will slip through. And then it's a reflection of you and you as an artist. Because they figure that you don't know what you're doing. And they judge you what isn't right to do.
Right.
You know?
And then you've got to come up with these excuses. Oh, my goodness.
Right. Well, if something goes wrong, you know, I'm the first one to take the blame on it, you know, and I would much rather take the blame and put it on my shoulders than somebody else. Because if that's somebody else, you know, I'm going to need them in the future. And I know that if, you know, I can handle the blame, bring it my way, I'm happy to take it. You know, and I don't want to put that on somebody else.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, and on my end, it's kind of hard for me to even hide it. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
They're like, well, it's your show. It's your show. You're supposed to know what's going on. But now, one of the projects I wanted to ask you about was, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but I believe it's pronounced Staunton. It's Staunton. Is that? Am I saying it correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Staunton Hill.
Staunton Hill. Tell me a bit about that film.
So Staunton Hill was a film that we shot in northern Pennsylvania back, I think, in 2007. It was the second feature film that I was a part of as a producer. I actually wrote the film, and we ended up getting the money to shoot it. We shot on real film, which is great, Super 16, so it wasn't a digital film. And that was my first experience working as a producer on a film that we actually shot on real film. I was asked to be in front of the camera for that one. It's kind of a horror film. And it was done by, the director was Cameron Romero, who's the son of George Romero, the famous film director.
Right.
And we put that together. And, you know, it was a very, very long and hard project because of the weather. We're shooting up there where it starts off nice, and then we got hit with snow and, you know, really cold times up there. And it was a challenge to make that film, but we got it done and it got out there.
Yeah, because Pennsylvania, it can get cold in Pennsylvania, absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that was my first film as a writer producer that actually saw a completion and saw it all the way through. You know, I directed my first film back in 2004 that we finished the movie, but it never got to completion in a timely manner. It really kind of drug out for a long time, and sometimes as films happen, you know, they never actually get a full final release product. And so my first one was kind of a training ground film, and I was hoping for a better end, and it just never panned out. We never got the ending we were hoping for. So Staunton Hill was my first one that actually saw a completed project.
Okay. And, you know, when it comes to you writing, where does your inspiration? I know it can come from a range or, you know, different varieties, but where does the inspiration for your writing comes from? Like, how do you know when you have an idea that sticks to you and you want to go with it?
That's a good question. I think it's like anything. If you write music, it's the same way. Sometimes you just kind of get an idea and you hope it pans out and you start kind of playing with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You scrap it and start over. You know, I've been in somewhat of a fortunate position lately because I've done some things as a writer that got made. I've now written five feature film scripts that have been made into full movies, and you know, and at least having that credibility of getting stuff done and getting it out there has opened up opportunities for me to continue writing. You know, and I'm working on a couple other projects right now, and I've been asked to fine tune some other people's scripts and work with that, and that's a very humbling experience. Someone comes to me with a project and says, "Hey, I've written this. Can you read this and give me notes on it and possibly help me polish it up?" So that's kind of fun. I do feel like my best ideas are still inside. I don't know what they are yet, but I feel like I have a grasp of what works in cinema. Now, whether I can actually get that on paper is another question all in itself. But that's my goal. You know, I've had a few things coming up that have done real well, and my last film, which just got out of theaters a couple weeks ago, I did a horror thriller called Cut, and I was one of the writers on that one.
Right.
And it won Best Film at the Independent Film and Television Festival, and I think because of the script was solid, and the story really comes together with a nice twist, and people really respect that because it's not a horror film; it's more of a thriller, and it's a smart thriller. And to have that now in my back pocket, is something that I'm very proud of.
Right, and Cut is like you say, Cut has won awards, and it's also getting some exposure. Now, also, I saw some knives. Look like some people are about to be getting chopped up in Cut. It's called it's named Cut, and I couldn't really tell. At first I looked and I saw one of the stills, and I said to myself, I saw a camera, so I said, okay, maybe they mean Cut is an action cut. But then when I saw the trailer, I said, okay, there's some people getting cut. So So give us a bit about what's going on in Cut, or not so much that you give it away, because I want everybody out there to go see this film. But what's the gist, the plot behind Cut?
Okay, well, Cut is the main Cut, of course, is a double entendre, meaning just as you pointed out. Cut with at the end of a scene, director might yell "Cut," and a crazy person might come in and cut you with a knife. It plays on both of those, and
wow.
Cut just got out of theaters about a week and a half ago, and we're starting to get on all the VOD outlets now. It'll be at Redbox soon and some other things. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of takes the twist in the horror world, because it's a true thriller, but we are getting genreized in the horror world because of the context and theme of what's going on. So in Cut, you have these two guys that want to make a movie. They want to make a horror movie, kind of like, Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch, one of those movies they made for really cheap. Uh-huh. And they figure their key to making a scary movie is to really scare people and really make people think they're going to die and catch it on film and cut that together in a movie. Well, wow. When it goes too far and the first person they get actually does die because they pushed it too far, now they have a real problem. They've got a dead body they got to deal with. They got to figure out what they want to do. It's all caught on film. Uh-huh. So what are you going to do in that situation when you have a real dead person now? You went too far and you're stuck. Oh. One of the characters has a criminal background, and he he's got a lot of problems in his past, and he really kind of gets turned on by the footage so much he decides that maybe this is the route to go. Maybe we should keep going with this.
Oh wow! He just goes bonkers. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was trying to figure out. I said to myself, does someone get killed? And I'll say this without giving a lot away, but I was trying to figure out, does someone else come in and do the killing, or is it one of the filmmakers that, kind of like you just explained, just kind of blew his lid and goes too far with the situation? And so the first person who gets offed, it's actually the filmmakers who did this.
Well, in the original concept, the filmmakers tried to do a scare, and it's very unsuccessful. So they want to try to get people that are people that no one knows. So they go after like a prostitute. They want to scare a prostitute, but they decide that to really make this scary, they've got to get some scary figure to do this. So they actually employ a homeless man in Los Angeles. Somebody down on his luck that's a little mentally unstable who looks scary, which is played by Sam Scarver, who is Sam's been in like 150 films, dating back to Karate Kid and Shocker, and he's been Over the Top, and he's been on tons of TV shows like ER, and his resume is just tremendous. So having Sam come in and play this homeless guy, which is such an awesome attachment to our project, because he's so deep and he's got this great face, and perfect for this character to play this evil villain without even understanding what he's doing. So the other guy, I'll call him the bad guy, David Banks, is his real name, played the character of Lane. David won Best Actor at the Independent Film and Television Festival for his role as this guy. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that employs the homeless man to come in. The homeless man doesn't understand what's going on. They try to convince him they're making a movie and go in with this knife and scare this prostitute, and as he comes in, of course, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do, and he kills her.
And it goes all wrong.
That's where the problem starts. He goes all out. And now Wayne, played by David Banks again, he's got this real dark past, and he sees what's going on and thinks it might be something they can get away with and continue the trend. So he tries to bring a homeless guy back, and it really unfolds quickly and goes downhill. Oh wow! You can only imagine some of the problems that happen.
Right. So this film pretty much has the element of excitement, as well as the thought. Look, it goes from some people doing something that is inspiring and doing something that they want to do, but then it also has that part that delves into just humanity and just takes away from just the fact of creative movie and goes into just humanistic things that can happen to a person, where one person says, hey, look, this is the real side of me. I've caught a lust for what has happened now, and so now I want to continue on with this. I can see where that can blow up and go a lot of different ways.
And it really can. And the thing that I'm most proud about, which I think we've been very fortunate, the critics have really been giving us high marks. And, to get something a critic actually likes, it's just a lot, because that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So to have the critics really compliment the story itself, I think that goes a long way. And one of the things we wanted to hit at with this is it's not a by-the-book horror movie. It's not a by-the-book thriller. It's a very smart story where you really learn along the course of the journey never to underestimate anybody, no matter what somebody looks like, no matter what they appear on the outside to be, no matter what they sound like or what they act like. You really never know what's truthfully going on inside somebody. And when that comes out, it brings a whole other level of compassion to these characters, and you start really learning what's really going on with them.
Right.
And when you learn that, it creates this level of intensity in the movie, because now even the darkest characters that you couldn't stand, you start empathizing with them and understanding where they're coming from and seeing their side and their motivation and why they're doing certain things. Which to me is powerful.
Yeah.
If you watch Silence of the Lambs, you start seeing, Hannibal Lecter, this crazy serial killer Hannibal Lecter. But as the movie goes on, you don't really hate him. You kind of understand, you kind of see a little bit about his past, and not that you necessarily care for him, but you enjoy seeing him on screen. He's not this hated monster because he's trying to help somebody in the situation. And I think Cut kind of plays on that a little bit. So it's definitely not a brainless horror movie that's just, blood and boobs and guts, because it's not. It's not like that. And if you go in, expecting that, you may be let down, but there is still plenty of blood and, there's a little bit of side boob, we'll put it that way.
What? Oh, okay. Hey, everybody likes that now.
Right, absolutely.
Now,
but it's not gratuitous. It's not thrown in there, just throw it in there.
Okay. Now, Will to Power. Okay, talking about Will to Power, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Another great film. Let everybody know a bit about Will to Power, because that was also another great movie, and what role you played. Did you? Okay, now you acted and produced in that as well.
I did. That was actually the first film I ever directed, and we shot that in Raleigh.
What?
Being the first project I ever did, you always go to where your resources are located, and I had a lot of connections. I hadn't been in Los Angeles that long, maybe 5 years at that point. So I was able to come back to Raleigh and pull a lot of resources together, and people who were really generous, who really wanted to help out and help someone trying to make a film. So we got a lot of things that were donated to our production, which really helped save costs. And we came back there and we shot it. And, some of the actors and friends I had made out here in Los Angeles, they came on board and became part of the movie. We had Jonathan Breck, who's an amazing actor. Jonathan plays the Creeper in the Jeepers Creepers franchise. He's a monster.
Oh, wow.
So I had met Jonathan on a film we'd done about a year earlier. And when I asked him about this project, I said, I'm trying to work on this project. I don't know what to do. I don't have any ability to get this made. What do I do? You've had the experience. You've been in, he had just done Jeepers Creepers 2, which was #1 in the box office at that moment. And I said, John, what do I do? How do I get this made? Because you got to just find a way. Go to where your resources are. Find a way to do it. And I said, all right, I'll make you a deal. I'll find a way to do it, but you have to star in it. So he came on board. He's one of the main actors in it, and we had a few other little spots, like Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver played the Beaver. Jerry came in a fun little spot, and David Banks, who was in Cut, he's in it, and a couple other actors. So Chris Moyer, who's also in Cut, was in Will to Power. And a lot of these people that I work with from time to time, if you have something that works and a relationship that works, you want to nurture that and keep it going. So I try to work with a lot of the same people over and over again.
Yeah, and it also helps because you know what to expect from people who you've already worked with. Which leads me to ask this question right here. A little bit off the book, but as a director in all the different positions that you play in creating films, what is it that you look for? Without saying too much or whatever, or stepping on toes, but what is it that you look for in someone or an actor coming to your scene? And I know you don't do casting, but is there something in particular that you look for that makes someone right for the screen, or are there the do's and the don'ts?
Yeah, I think there is, and almost all of my films, we rarely go through a major casting process. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time, the actors will come to me, or I'll approach an actor. I'll just sit down and have lunch with them, and spend an hour or 2 hours with them, and I will know after that time period if I feel like I can work with them. Mm-hmm. At an audition process where an actor comes in, they're in the room for maybe 2 minutes at most.
Right.
And in 2 minutes, it's not a fair assessment of what they can do, because the auditioning process is so different than the acting process.
Yeah.
At an auditioning process, they tell you to go stand on the X on the floor. There's a wall right behind you. It's just plain walls. You have a camera there. You're not allowed to move off your mark. And you have to talk with a casting director or reader who's reading the scene opposite you, who's not giving you any emotion. Mm-hmm. And you've got to create this whole world and make it believable. Mm-hmm. So that's not real acting for me.
Right.
For me, I'd rather just sit down and speak with somebody and feel their true artistic intentions. And I can usually get a pretty good sense of if I think they can do the role or not. And I want to look at footage of what they've done in the past, if they have a demo reel, things like that, so I get an idea of what they can do. But that helps me gauge what they can do. And then when I sit down with them, then there are a lot of things that I look for. Are they on time? If they're late for my initial meeting, then what are they going to be like after we've worked together for 3 weeks and they feel like they can do whatever they want? They may show up 2 hours late.
Right.
So you got to be there on time. You have to be attentive. If they're constantly checking their phone and text messaging, things like that, that takes away from our meeting. That takes away from their focus. And I don't know if I'm going to get that focus from the actor, when we're having our conversation. So these are little things that really go a long way. Actors that are appreciative of being there, are appreciative to being in a spot where they can actually contribute their artistic side. Because as a director, I'm very appreciative of any opportunity I get, and I feel so fortunate to have an opportunity to do something. And I want my team to be in that same boat. Because if you're appreciative, then you respect it. And if you respect it, then you're going to work together to achieve the common goal of a good product. You don't respect it, you don't care what it turns out, that's where problems happen.
Yep, and you know what? That's good. That's good food for thought for everybody out there listening, and all of those who, are thinking about getting into this business. Don't let the entertainment shows and different things like that fool you. With just all the smiles and different things like that. This field, this profession is really hard work. It takes discipline, just like David just said. It takes showing up on time. You've got to want to be there, and you can't have a big head, right, David? Like, you got to respect your work and appreciate your position.
Absolutely. If something's not appreciated in anything in life, in anything at all, then nobody wants to be around that person. Mm-hmm. If you don't respect what's going on, then why would people want to be a part of that?
Right.
You look at some of the best people in the game, out here, and they really take what they do very seriously, and they really respect the craft. They respect what they're trying to do, and they do their job. They're not about all the glam, because Hollywood's not the glam. It does happen, yes, and there's a lot of things that are obtained and a lot of what we call the get. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the business for the get, then you're in the wrong place, because it doesn't work that way. You have to give. And the more you give as an artist, whether you're an actor, director, writer, songwriter, music producer, whatever it is, the more you give, then the get may come down the line. But it never should be about the get. Right. And if you have desperation coming into a room and you're just about what I can get from something, that's not somebody I want to work with.
Absolutely. Pay your dues.
Absolutely. And even when your dues are paid, there's no reason to change.
Right. Exactly.
There's no reason to change. Stay true to who you are.
Right. Now, going on, because you deserve a huge congratulations for this, and this is a really big deal. I know to you, it's you'll probably keep it modest, understandable, level-headed, but listen, congratulations on being one of the top 10. And let me say this, and I'm gonna say this clearly, again, because this is huge, one of the top 10 directors under 40. That's a big deal, David.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm very, very honored to have been given that.
You still try?
Really know.
If you, I knew you was gonna say that. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how to respond to that. It was definitely an honor, but all it is an honor. You know what I mean? If I don't continue to back that up, then it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If you can, it's like being voted the best, football quarterback in the preseason. But if you don't deliver during the regular season, it doesn't mean one bit of difference. And it doesn't mean anything. I think you're really only as good as your next project. We've been very lucky with some of the stuff we've done. We're so happy to get such a good reception from the viewers and from the critics. And I really am so honored and flattered that getting that. But now that's one of the things we talk about the get. Got something, but I've got to keep giving. If I don't keep giving, then it's not going to matter, and your people are going to look back 5-10 years from now, and if they even wonder at all what happened to me, my name won't even be around. So, I've got to continue to produce, and that's my goal. I hope to keep doing good work, and I hope to get work. And the more good work I do, I feel like good work generates more work. So, got to keep producing the best that I can, and keep hoping for the best.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess, and I suppose being in that position, would you have, if any, are there any, and I know you've had respect for quite a few, obviously, coming up in this business, you had to respect and honor other people's work, but did you have any particular favorites or any producers or actors work that you really liked growing up or coming up?
It's so funny. I'm a fan of so many movies. Well, when I grow up, when I'm growing up, I have movies that remind me of different aspects of my life. I've got some movies that are my favorite movies from when I was a kid because they remind me of certain things. Like I was hanging out with my best friend playing baseball, so we liked the movie Major League. The Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson. So that was that and Bull Durham. They were big baseball movies for my best friend. And when I think of those movies, it reminds me of a happy time in my life when I was playing baseball with my best friend. Mm-hmm. There's other movies, when I was a kid that remind me of hanging out with my brother. And depending on where you are, same thing with music. I hear a song on the radio and it takes me back to I remember that. That's from freshman year in college. I remember that moment. And that's from playing on the radio in the high school locker room after a football game. Things like that. And I think because of that, I've got such a fascination for some of these actors that were in these obscure movies, or like little smaller characters, and I'll run into them from time to time out here. And I think I probably scare them because I'll go up and say, "Man, I loved you in Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie with Sylvester Stallone."
Oh man!
And they're like, "What are you talking about?" That's how I met Sam Scarborough originally. Right. Sam was one of the arm wrestlers that arm wrestled Stallone at the very end, and he's in there for a small little part, but he was such an iconic role growing up for me. Right. My best friend Eric Van Dorner still lives in Raleigh. Eric and I would always arm wrestle. We'd imitate Sam and a couple other characters. When I first met Sam, that was a lot of fun. Saying, "Oh, you're the guy." I met a guy that was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. I saw him at Lowe's one day, shopping. And I'm like, "You're the guy in Indiana Jones." And, I think it kind of freaked him out a little bit. But
look, I still do that to this day, Dave.
Right? It's fun though. It's fun because it takes you back to that moment in time. Mm-hmm. That is hopefully a pleasurable memory, and it allows you to relive that. And I think that's what I get most excited about. I've been very fortunate to work with some very big names in the business, and it's always very fun to meet them and watch how they work. And I had a little part in Pearl Harbor, and I got to watch Michael Bay work as a director, and I think that was an inspiration for me because I admired his work, and really seeing what he's done since then. He's done so many big things, and knowing that I got to sit down and watch him work. And I think that was one of my inspirations for wanting to get in and be a director. Seeing these guys work and seeing them in their element, or even out of their element, like at the grocery store or something,
Right, and that's the next thing too for everybody out there listening. When you have chance, go check David's IMDb page because he has lots of works. Listen, I saw them all, but I couldn't drag him through talking about each and every one of them. You know what I mean? But I do have to bring up one because this is also one of my favorite movies. To me, one of my favorites of all time, which is Triple X State of the Union. Okay?
Yeah.
Action-packed movie. And I love those. What was it like being on set for that?
Man, wow, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I mean, when you get to come out of the dressing room and walk on set, stand next to Samuel Jackson on one side, and Ice Cube on the next.
Man.
You know, especially at that point in my career, when I was really starting to fill things out and learning how the business worked, that was just fantastic. And watching those guys work, and Scott Speedman, you know, and these guys, you know, Scott's had a long career, and being in something with these guys was such a fun experience.
Right.
You know, I'm standing next to Ice Cube and looking at him, and in my mind, I'm quoting scenes from the movie Friday. I'm going over and over again in my head, and I'm like, yep, that's the guy. He looks just like him.
Right.
Like, he is him, you know, and that was a lot of fun.
Right.
And being a part of that movie, that was, you know, one of the first, you know, big blockbuster films that I really got to spend some time on and be a part of. That was a lot of fun.
That was cool. Did you have a smaller role? Because you know, I'm going to watch that movie again now. Because that's because, you know, listen, just like you spoke about a few minutes ago, I get really excited too, like, you know, knowing somebody or talking to somebody, especially that's in some of my favorite movies. So when I found out you was in that movie, I was like, oh man, being one of my favorites, now I'm getting ready to go back and watch it again. So, you know, did you have was it a smaller role, or did you have a speaking role in there? Did you?
Oh yeah, it was a speaking role. And what's interesting, and this is something I've learned about the business out here, is as an actor, so many things are out of your control. Mm-hmm. So for anybody that's an actor that's out there listening, a lot of times you'll audition for something, and you may go in and have a great audition, but it doesn't mean that if you don't get the part, it doesn't mean that they didn't like you, or your acting wasn't good, or whatever. There's so many other elements that go into it.
Yep.
So when I first read for Triple X State of the Union, my audition sides came in, and what sides are, you know, little pieces of the script they want you to read for the director. Mm-hmm. So my sides were 7 pages of dialogue. It was a very, very fun role. I was so excited to do it. I was supposed to be Sam Jackson's right-hand man throughout the movie, and everything looked great. So I read for the audition. Everything went well, and then I didn't hear anything for about 4 months. Mm-hmm. So of course, you know, you put it out of your mind, you let it go, you assume you didn't get it, right, and everything is fine. But when we found out about the backstory on what's really going on, they had some contract negotiations with Vin Diesel that had come up, and other stuff had happened, and now they were reworking the script. Ice Cube was now attached, and they had to rework all this stuff, so everything was on hold, and it was this long delay.
Right.
Now, my roommate at the time, back before I got married, he was doing stunts on the film. So he had been a part of the whole audition process for me. He helped me go over my lines, you know, make things ready. So he's working on stunts on the movie. He calls me one day, and he said, "Man, David, they're filming one of your scenes right now." I said, "What are you talking about? I'm not on set today." I know, but there's a dude here in a shirt and tie that looks kind of like you, and he's filming this same scene that I helped you audition with. So I called my agent, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he called casting to kind of find out what was happening, and they said, "Well, in the end, when they reworked the script, casting owed a bunch of favors, so they took that part and they divided it up into 5 different parts."
Wow.
So now 5 different actors are playing that part.
What?
So my part started out at one level, but it shrunk down. Now, because the original contract had me in a bigger part, I still ended up with, you know, one of the top billings on the card, and you know, get my name at the front of the credits and all that stuff, which is kind of interesting. But in the actual movie now, my part's condensed quite a bit. So, you know, one of my first Hollywood lessons that you never know what you're going to get, but I was happy to be a part of it, and I was still thrilled to have the opportunity.
Hey, you know what? And that's true. And those are listen, it comes with the business. And it's just a simple, you know, it's not nothing that is over the top or anything like that. It's just part of the industry, and it happens.
It is.
You know, I know when it brings me back to a time when I was doing my background acting. And you know, and I got lucky enough in the movie Skulls. I don't know if you remember Skulls, but it was the original.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Jackson, right?
With Paul Walker.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Walker and a few other people. And I was actually I was actually supposed to be have a speaking role in a scene as well, where I was to be Spawn. I was supposed to be like part of the college team and Spawn with Paul Walker and things like that. And the same thing happened to me. That part got cut out. I still was able to get my little background scene in sitting next to Paul Walker. So I was in a scene with him, which was amazing to me. Like, you know, very memorable. But yeah, those things happen, you know, from little guys like myself to even larger guys like you. It just goes with the industry.
Well, I think it happens, and it's always, there's so many factors that go into it that people don't realize. And my last film, Cut, you know, if you do get the DVD and look at it, there are a bunch of deleted scenes. Mm-hmm. And I put the deleted scenes in because we had so many actors where I had to cut their part down. And it wasn't a reflection of who they were. Right. It wasn't a reflection of their performance. We just had to tighten it up for the sake of the story, for the story to flow. And I wanted them to at least get their scene. So when I made with our distributor, when they put the movie out there, I said, look, these are the deleted scenes that have to be in there. You have to include these actors because I want their work to be seen. They did such great work, and our distributors were so kind, and they allowed that to get in there. So on the deleted scenes, they're all there. You know, and now these actors can at least get a copy of their work, and they can say, you know what, I didn't make the final cut, or my final cut performance was a little bit, but here's the whole scene. It's still on the DVD, so it gives them something they can hang on to. You know, and that's something I wanted to try to do. And I hope that I can always do something like that. Yeah. Because if somebody's going to come out and work, I want them to know that I appreciate them being out there.
Well, yeah, and it's always just listen, and you know, small parts to larger parts, regardless, is always still a blessing to really even be involved. Fairly a lot of times.
Yes.
So you know that means a lot. Now, what can you know, for every all the listeners out there, what can we expect? What should we be looking for next? You know, from you.
Sure. Well, Cut is, and if you look up Cut, it's got an exclamation point on the end. T-U-T exclamation point. And of course, my last name Rountree doesn't have a D in it. Rountree.
Right.
So by going to IMDb or something, which is a good way to keep up with what's happening next. Mm-hmm. So Cut will be out on all of the VOD outlets very soon. It's already out on a few networks. We will be at Redbox soon, and we'll be at Netflix and all those avenues coming up in the near future. But aside from that, I'm currently executive producing a 3D sci-fi animated feature film called The Body Defenders, and it's being currently made out of South Africa. And again, we talk about how you can do this from anywhere.
Wow.
So the animation is being done out of South Africa, but I'm coordinating and directing the actors in Los Angeles for their voices. So that's something that we're currently working on, and that'll be out probably in the next year. Uh-huh. But it's potentially something pretty darn good. It's a very cool project put together by a guy named Patrick Garcia. A lot of the animators work for some of the major animation studios, and they are making this story. It's a fun story. The Body Defenders, it takes place inside of a human body, and kind of the white blood cells, and they're fighting, germs, things like that. It's definitely geared toward a younger audience.
Really? Wow. Now that's gonna be definitely new. Definitely different.
It is. The entire story takes place inside of a person. And it's my first time working with anything in the animated world, so I'm really excited. And the animation is phenomenal. I mean, it's as top notch as it could be, and it rivals the movies like Toy Story and things like that. And it's exciting to see it come together. And we're about to start our actual voice recording of our actors, and we're casting, and we're reaching out, man. We're hoping to really get some top names attached to this thing. We're working hard to make that happen.
Right now, and so in this film, Body Defenders, this will be for kids also, obviously, right?
It will be for kids, but I think an older audience will also appreciate it.
Okay.
An older audience, they'll still appreciate some of the movies, like Frozen came out. Kids love the movie Frozen. My daughter, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she's watched Frozen 100 times. And the more it's been on in the background, the more I've grown to appreciate it as well. And, I think adults will also appreciate this, but it's definitely geared toward a younger audience.
Oh wow, this is going to be groovy. I can't wait. I haven't seen one where people are inside. And listen, I'm assuming. Well, you know what? I won't ask about it. But there's like Because I was getting ready to say, like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, now these blood cells are fighting. Because again, Dave, I don't want you to give too much away. I know how it is. I understand your position totally. So, wow. I guess I'll just leave it at that, or maybe I'll have you back on and we'll talk about it again. But I'm just curious. I can't wait to see what these blood cells are doing, because listen, health conscience wise, this takes us to a whole different level, and it just kind of makes me wonder. Is this battle going on inside the body? Is there going to be a health conscience message inside of it anywhere, or are they just kind of disrupting things? But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Mr. Patrick Garcia might get upset if I give away too much.
Oh, I know.
There's a definite lesson in the movie, but I don't think that it's a lesson that hits you over the head where you come out like, all right, I get it. It's definitely a subtle lesson, and it's fun. I mean, of course, any health message is take care of your stuff on the inside,
right?
But this movie goes much further than that, and the script is really, really fun. It's really well put together, and I'm excited to see the final product, because once we get all the voices recorded, then they go back and they match it up in the animation, make all the mouths talk, and it all comes together. So it'll be fun. I'm excited to see that one come together all the way through, because I've never been a part of something like that. Right,
I can imagine. And just let me ask you one more question. I know we got to get ready to get out of here, but one more question. Like, speaking about, for instance, we talked about being able to connect and put together a team even in different countries. How in a simple form, I guess, how do you reach out in from America to South Africa and put a team together in general to work on the same project? I mean, is it just through finding people who do great work in other countries and saying, hey, let's do this together? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I think there are a lot of networking sites out there now that really help out. And I was approached by them to kind of come on and help organize stuff in Los Angeles, or in the United States. And one of the networking sites that I found, which is great for anybody in the entertainment industry, is called Stage 32, stage32.com, which is the number 32. And it's kind of like a Facebook or LinkedIn, but for industry professionals. So if you're a writer, if you're a director, actor, producer, makeup artist, stunts, color correctionist, whatever you are, you can log into this site and create a profile, and then you can find work that way. You can, if you're putting a project together, you can, put an ad up and say, hey, I'm in Wilmington right now. I'm shooting a commercial for, a radio show. We're on the Keith Harris show. We're on a commercial. I need to find some actors to come in and do it. It pays this much money. I need somebody to shoot it, and then they will come to you and submit, and then you can go through their profiles and figure out who you want. So I think that's a new thing that's only been out 2 years, and they have a worldwide audience of a little over 500,000 people, and it's fantastic. And I'm on the site almost every day, and I'm actually about to start another film in May, which I'm heading down close to you. We're going to be in Louisiana shooting a voodoo thriller film.
Oh, and, man. Really?
I'm excited. It's called Garrett Manor, and we're going to be down there close to you, and we're on Stage 32 right now trying to help get some of our crew and just find people who are available in that area.
What, to be in the film?
To be in the film, to be actors, to be crew, all kinds of positions. We're looking for a lot, because coming to Los Angeles, we're not going to be able to bring a ton of crew with us. We need to find local talent out there in Louisiana to come on for some of the supporting roles. And, our big name actors are coming from Los Angeles, and we have some great names already attached to it. With some people that I've always loved. We have D.M.V.KeithHarris is attached.
Oh, man.
Ever since I saw Independence Day, I was hooked, man.
Bananas. That's off the chain.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I got Vivica and Sean Patrick Thomas from Save the Last Dance and Julia Stiles back in the day, and he's been on a bunch of shows, and we have a few others that are already signed on. I think Danielle Harris is signed on from the Halloween franchise. And we got a couple others who are real close to being signed on that I can't say just yet, but I think it's going to come through.
Hey, well, look, I tell you what, Dave, when you get ready to come this way, it's not a name as big as all the rest of them, but I have a name that I'd like to fill you in about.
Absolutely, I'd love to hear it.
It's Keith Harris.
I've heard of him. I like him.
Yeah, man, no doubt. You know what I'm saying?
And And where you are, it's not that far from where we are either. You know, we're going to be down there. We're north of New Orleans.
Right.
So we're not that far. I mean, it's not right down the street. It's not as close as like Atlanta or something, but it's not that far from you.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, I've driven to Louisiana myself. Crazy time when I drove down there. It was a lot of stuff still underwater, as a matter of fact. But yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but absolutely. When auditions begin, let me know. It's going down.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
I will, man. I will, and then we can do maybe a live show from the set. Have you come down there and be a part of it and actually broadcast out live while we're filming.
Of course we will. We do the behind the scenes and everything and take it worldwide.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
That'd be a lot of fun.
No doubt. All right, listen, any shout outs, Dave?
Man. Well, I have a few people on the East Coast that might be tuning in. Of course, my best friend Eric Van Dorn Awards out there, and I have an aunt, Betsy Rountree, out there in North Carolina. I think they're going to be tuning in the podcast as well and checking things out. And love to say hello and send my love to those guys. And, of course, everybody out here in Los Angeles is checking it out. And it's been such a wonderful opportunity to come and talk with you. And I just had a blast, man. It's so much fun just kind of hanging out.
Hey, exactly. Look, I did too, man. And you know what? And like I say also, again, we'll have you come back. You have so many different things going on, and later on, in the future, with some of those other great projects, we want to hear more about those also. And before you go, once again, let everybody know where they can check you or check you out on social media, your IMDb page again, and where they can go check out your past and present projects you've been into.
Yeah, well, I think probably the easiest way is D.M.V.KeithHarris, which is the Internet Movie Database.
Right.
And you can just do a search for my name, David Rountree, and there's no D in Rountree, Rountree. And I think on the IMDb page, it's got a list of all the credits. So all my social media links are also up there. I've got I think there's been a Facebook like page that was created, and my Twitter is @PsychoRock2, which is my company, Psycho Rock Productions.
Oh,
so
okay.
@PsychoRock2, and hop on Twitter, man. I'd love to talk with anybody out there and kind of say what's up, and feel free to chime in and ask questions at any time. I'm always down to answer, and anyone signs up on Stage 32, I'm on there also.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Everybody out there listening, make sure you go check out David Rountree. Like he said, go check out his IMDb. Look at all the great works that he's been in. If it's Friday night, Saturday night, Tuesday night. As a matter of fact, tonight's a good night. It's early in the week. Not a lot going on for everybody. Take in one of his movies. I tell you, it's going to...
Oh, that's great, man.
It's going to be worth it.
That'd be great.
Listen, David.
108 stitches you can get everywhere. Cut an exclamation point out there too, man. So, man, yeah, it's been awesome, Keith, man. I appreciate it.
You know what? I'm glad you said that too. You brought up the explanation point as well, because the explanation point comes after cut. CUT, right?
Yep, CUT exclamation point.
Okay, good. Everybody out there, make sure you note that, because you could type in that word and a whole lot of different stuff might pop up.
It sure
does. so make sure you put that explanation point behind it. All right. Listen, David. Look, I appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been a blast. Enjoy yourself. Congratulations on all your success. Many blessings, and we wish you much more success in your future, which we'll know you have. And look, we'll be talking to you soon, my man. Listen, shout outs to you and your whole team and your whole crew and everybody that's making it happen. We greatly appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Keith, man. Matt Chapin, I think, hooked all this up to make this connection, and I appreciate the love all the way around, man. You run a great show, and I was so happy to be a part of it today.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Look, when I come out that way, we'll sit down, we'll do lunch, and when if you get back out here to NC before I get out of here, then we'll connect, bro.
That sounds good, man. You have a great rest of the afternoon. I appreciate it.
You too. Take care, Dave.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. That was David Rountree, everybody. We'd like to send, again, a huge congratulations out to this guy, a wonderful, down-to-earth fellow. As you see, we chopped it up for a long time. Nothing like great conversation, full of information also as well. Listen, make sure you go check out his films. Like I say, 108 Stitches, hilarious, okay? You need some good comedy in your life. You need to laugh sometime. You need a good, clean movie that'll give you some good jokes. They're making some really funny faces in that movie. you know, the costumes, the facial makeups and things like that are something worth seeing. You would definitely not be bored. I suggest you go check it out. And also, you know, be on the lookout for Cut too. Get with that as well, because as he said, the reviews for that were off the chain. He's not just saying that. I've read the reviews also personally myself, and there are some extraordinary reviews about that film. So go check it out. Make sure you do. Once again, we send a big shout out to David Rountree for stopping through and talking to us today. Also, I'd like to send a special thank you and big shout out to Matt Chasen for connecting everything. Keep doing your thing, Matt. Greatly appreciate you, my friend. And you are tuned in to the #1 station on the net, Hot Radio. You listen to the Keith Harris Show. Of course, I'm Keith Harris, your host, controlling the post. If it's anybody else, tell them to get ghost. Don't you go nowhere. I'll be right back.